Well. Hello, Rob. This is Memphis Diva 99. And, I was told that you said I sounded like I was out of breath. And I probably was, running up the stairs, stalking or harassing one of my coworkers. But anyway, I heard you said I didn't pronounce hooks, rubs, and spices correctly. Well, I hope I pronounced it. Regardless how I pronounce hooks, rubs, and spices, when it's in my castle, my house, I pronounce it any damn way I want to pronounce it. And with that being said, I guess I'm going to go and cook me some fried chicken and put some hooks, spices, and rubs on it. How about that? Catch me outside. No. Catch me at Walmart. Well, I really do got to go to Walmart. But I probably won't see you, but I'm going to ask a few people if they know you. Okay, then, bye.
Here we go. You are now listening to Random Ramblings with Rob. Yay! Yeah!
This is the anthem, you're ready for some random shit from Rob. Now everybody stand up and lift your arms. Put your hands in the sky like you're pinching stars. Go piss on Mars! What? It's so random, it's all gravy. The podcast is Rob, yeah, go crazy. Yup.
And all kind of shit like that.
That's what Rob says when he runs off track. Fun fact, tuck that in your brain. Fuck that, nutsacks, we act insane. In the fast lane, still smooth like butter. Rob, dude, you one cool ass brother.
Motherfucker.
You might hear that about every other word, but who's keeping count? The ramblings get so random, what's happening? I'm babbling so much you can't handle me. Chattering teeth sound like a battle axe bashing the beat. Don't laugh when I speak, cause really, we're just some idiots. I ain't talking about a little bit, I'm talking fully illiterate. Like little kids trapped in a grown man's body, acting a fool like Lindsay Lohan party. Like it's a party of life, we party all night. Blackout, that's how we party it right. Hit the Walmart cause we bored as shit. Instagram and upload the vid. look at Rob hanging out in the Walmart for no reason, just Instagramming. He got his phone out, walking around looking at himself like, hey, look at me, I'm walking through Walmart. It's so random, Rob. It's so random, but that's what we love. Random ramblings with Rob. Random ramblings.
Motherfucking,
Random
freaking
ramblings.
motherfucking,
Random
freaking
ramblings. Random ramblings. Random ramblings. Blah 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 blah.
What up, everybody? This your boy B Rob, and I'm back with another edition of the Random Ramblers with Rob show. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you, the listener, for coming back each and every week and listening to my podcast, or however you're listening to podcasts. If you're a new listener, I'd like to thank you extra more than I would thank the normal listeners, because this is your first time listening. So you've heard about this through a random search, or somebody recommended it. You might have seen a tweet somewhere or an Instagram post, or I don't know. You found me somehow, and I want to take the time to tell you thank you for giving me a chance. Man, before we even roll on with this episode, Miss Kayla Stevenson, Simpson, Samson, whatever the fuck your name is, you called me on my voicemail and you speak all these inflammatory statements and everything. For those of you who are listening to me right now and you hear me speak all these foul languages against this person, Miss Memphis Diva 99, you need to go to the hashtag Blackout Podcast. I think I left a voicemail on episode 67 or 68. One of those. I don't even remember which one it is. But Kayla, Miss Memphis Diva 99 on Instagram and Twitter, she took the holy name of Hooks, Rubs, and Spices and defiled it. She said it wrong. She mispronounced the words hooks, rubs, and spices. And it's a big no-no because they're my unofficial sponsor. And it's delicious on all your meats and vegetables and everything. I've encouraged a lot of people to rub hooks, rubs, and spices on their love boxes, the genitals in between their toe skins and everything like that, because it's that good of a seasoning. But Miss Memphis Diva 99 on Twitter and Instagram, Miss Kayla Stevenson Sampson, or whatever the hell your name is, you want to disrespect the glorious Hooks, Rubs, and Spices, and I cannot stand for it, and I will not stand for it. Matter of fact, I'm sitting in this chair recording right now because I ain't standing for none of your shit right now. Anyway, shout outs to the hashtag Blackout Podcast. Speaking of the hashtag Blackout Podcast, I got a voicemail from Jared, who is the only one from the hashtag Blackout Podcast that I get a voicemail from. Jay, don't send me shit. He might send me some positive mental vibes and everything, give me some shout outs on their show, but he don't send me no goddamn voicemails or nothing. But it's cool. It's okay. I'm going to go ahead and knock that voicemail out because we have a few of them. You just heard one from Memphis Diva 99 on Twitter and Instagram, Miss Kayla Sampson Stevens, and whatever the hell your name is. And we got one from Anomaly because he has announcements that he want to make in regards to his new album that is out now called Revelations, and how you can get you a free copy. Also, we have another whimsical tale from Hoppy Rogers, but for now, we're going to get into the voicemail from Jared from the hashtag Blackout Podcast.
What's up, B-Rob? This is Jared from the hashtag Blackout Podcast, and I just want to say thank you for calling in to my show. Our show, we love that. We appreciate that. All that stuff. We definitely do. We appreciate the interaction and also comments on the episodes. Starting to listen to your Shot Cock episode right now. Shot Cock, Shot Cock, Shot Cock. And I'm sorry, I'm a little bit behind on episodes. Work's been killing me. So I haven't really been able to listen to anybody. Anyway, yeah, every time I hear your show, the intro of your show, at least some of these past few times, make me want to come into a crowd, come to an arena full of people, hands held high, just dipping myself the whole time, run up to the squared circle, jump over the top turnbuckle, and have fire and fireworks and stuff like that shooting up behind me, and go and shake the ropes. Go and do a flying body block on somebody. Anyway, gets me hyped. Love those intros. Anyway, yeah. So, you called in a couple times. Talked about our girl, Kayla Stevenson, Memphis Diva 99. And, yeah, sounds like she's ready to beef with you. So, very interesting. Listen up. Next episode coming up, episode 70. You'll hear the voicemail beef has begun. Speaking of beefs, I guess everybody just gonna go ahead and let Jody B be your voicemail champion. So I guess all those beefs have died. Congrats to you, Jody B. Anyway, hope you put some hooks, rubs, and spices all over your meat and birds this Thanksgiving. And we blacking out. Peace.
Thank you, Jared, for that voicemail. I was about to say email. I don't know what's wrong with my brain. I'm probably all hopped up because of Memphis Diva 99, Kayla Sampson Stevenson, or whatever the hell your name is, talking reckless about hooks, rubs, and spices, putting them on pork chops and mashed potatoes and hash browns and whatever the hell you're doing with them, which is very tasty sounding, but put some respect on the name. You're going to say hooks, rubs, and spices. God damn it. Next, we're going to spin a yarn with Hoppy Rogers. He has another whimsical tale, as I stated before, and I'm going to let you hear that right now. Then we're going to roll into the interview, and after the interview, stick around because Anomaly wants to give you some details on how you can win a free copy and some other goodies for his new album, Revelations. So, here's Hoppy.
I want to work. Doo-doo, bro. No, for real, though. It's Hoppy. What up, everybody? I'm going to tell a story about my buddies Dan and Jim. Dan been dead like 9 years or something like that. So this took place about 10, 11 years ago when he was on the way out or whatever. They was brothers, both of them good buddies of mine. Dan had muscular dystrophy, whatever the fuck. I'm drunk. It's like Lou Gehrig's, but you're born with it. And it's, you know, eat your muscles from the inside out and all that. Until you know. But Dan asked me, you know, he couldn't get around on his own at all, you know. He could barely get his own wheelchair moving with a joystick. So anyway, Dan asked me to take him to a whorehouse, but don't tell his brother Jim. And I was like, man, you know, I can't not tell Jim where I'm taking you and all that. And if you end up dying in a whorehouse, I'd have a lot of explaining to do. So, you know, I was like, hold on, let me have this conversation. So I goes in there with his brother, get him alone, and I'm like, you know, Jim, Dan wants to go see a prostitute and lose his virginity before he kicks the bucket. And he's like, no, you know, there's no way, no, he's completely against it. And I'm like, look, man, if you were in his position, you know, even if you did die when that happened, I mean, it'd probably be a good way to go out. Let's just be honest, bro. I mean, we'd have lots of explaining to do to your parents and stuff, but I mean, come on, bro. Like, we got to give him this chance. It's what he wants. So he's like, okay, but no full sex, because full sex will kill him. Just a fucking blowjob. We'll take him there, you know. And so I get him to agree to the blowjob. So we go back in there, and I tell Dan, and Dan's like, no, I want to fuck her, you know. And Jim's like, no, that'll kill you. So, you know, and Jim tells Dan, he's like, you're in no position to argue with anyone on anything. And I'm like, damn, dog, that's cold. But, you know, they meet in the middle at the blowjob. So, I don't want to, try getting in the middle of the mix on like a Friday or Saturday night when these hoes are busy trying to turn 13 tricks real quick. So, you know, we head out there at like 6 in the morning. And, when we get there, there's two girls working. And, one of them's hot. And the other one is definitely not at all. Just no, she'd have to pay me. But out of respect to the ugly one, I'm like, hey, Dan, which one you want? And he looks up and he's in his wheelchair and he's like, the one in the green dress. And so I do a double take and look over at Jim. And I'm just like giving him that look, and he's like, oh man, his eyes are fucked up too. He's colorblind. And I'm like, that's not even part of the illness. Damn. So we figure out he's talking about the hot one. And so I asked the hot one how much, and she says, you know, 180. And I'm like, all right, but you're gonna do him, and I'll give you 250. And she kind of pulls me aside, and she's like, I have a question. Is he mentally retarded? And I said, oh, yeah, that's what I do. I go find retards and take them to whorehouses. I'll be over in the corner whacking off. And this bitch got serious and was like, oh, so there's two. Well, that'll be an extra. I said, no, bitch, he's not fucking retarded. She's like, well, what do I do? And I'm like, look, I don't know. I've never been a hooker before. And I'm like, look, maybe just give him a little show, rub your tits in his face, and suck him off. How's that sound? And so she's like, I'm like, look, but don't fuck him. Don't sit on him. Don't fuck him. That might kill him. And she gets this look. And but anyways, we get her in the room, and we get him in the room in the bed, and get the fuck out of there. And then as soon as we get in the hallway, I look at Jim, and I'm like, can she take his pants off without hurting him? He's like, fuck you for getting me into this. So we goes back into the room, and he's like, Dan's like, let Jim lift me up because he's the only one who can do it without hurting me. So Jim gets, you know, under the underarms and lifts him up. That took a fucking genius to figure out. And so I pull this kid's track pants off, and kid, we all about 20 at the time, 20 something. But anyways, for all you guys out there with little meats walking around sad, imagine being a paraplegic with a big meat. And there wasn't no hiding that, bro. I mean, I had to get the fuck out of there. So anyway, the hooker when I'm on the way out the door, stops me and she's like, you know, I'm really not worried about diseases. Y'all said he's a virgin and all that whoop-de-whoop, but like, does he bathe? Like, do y'all, you know, is he how's his cleanliness? And his brother's like, man, I gave him a bath this morning. He's all good. Tipped her some more money on top of what I did. We left. Everything went great for him and stuff. But look, Thanksgiving's coming up. Y'all have a great holiday. You may think that you're a good mom, dad, aunt, sister. But as you're around that table, think, do you have enough love in you to wash your brother's dick and take him to a whorehouse before he dies? Happy Thanksgiving, y'all. Out.
Happy. Oh. See, he is destined to be a storyteller, a filmmaker, or whatever. This is in his DNA. He loves to tell stories, and I appreciate Happy taking out the time, whether he's sober or inebriated, to just bless us with his happy-isms and everything. And Jared, if you're still listening to this point, Happy is the voicemail king, not Jody B. Jody B relinquished his title, and Happy Rogers is the new voicemail king. He is the voicemail champion. So I just wanted to update you on that. I know you said something about it earlier, but just wanted to keep you in the know. I know you're a couple episodes behind and everything, but you ain't that damn far behind. Anyway, my guest this week is a returning guest. It is the man, King Ajar. Last time we spoke, we talked about professional wrestling because that's one of his interests, as is mine. But today we're not so much talking about professional wrestling as a product, but we're going to talk about professional wrestling as a business. So I know Ray from the Naked Porch Podcast and maybe Sean from Horribly Awkward are sitting there talking about wrestling when I first started talking about my guests and everything, but it veers off in many different directions. It's wrestling based in essence, but it's talking about business and other things and movies and stuff like that. So Ray, don't tune out on me, man. Sean, don't tune out on me. It's a good episode. Originally, it was 2 hours long, but I chopped it down because the first hour of it was actually talking about professional wrestling. But reason being that I cut all that out and everything because, I mean, we've been wrestling heavy the last couple episodes, which is nothing wrong with that because I like professional motherfucking wrestling. But the reason that we're talking about the business aspect of professional wrestling is because King Ajar is pondering. He hasn't pulled the trigger on it yet. Taking his extensive knowledge of finances and starting his own podcast based on the financial end of professional wrestling, looking at professional wrestling as a business. So we rap a little bit about that. We share some insights on wrestling as a business, and I hope you enjoy it. So without further ado, we're going to roll into this edition of the Random Rambles with Rob podcast featuring King Ajar.
Street to Bailey, which I guarantee WWE regrets that decision. That was a bad decision.
Yeah. No, I mean, you briefly touched on merchandise sales and everything like that. And we talked a few times in the past as a couple other people that I know who are interested in getting into podcasting. Now, you came to me with an interesting concept or whatever. I mean, I've said it many a times, even on episode 1 of this very podcast that we're doing now, that I wanted to do a wrestling podcast, but I felt like, you know, if I'm going to do a show, that I just want to have it be what it is. I want to talk about this one day. It's something, it's just something different all the time. If wrestling happens to come up, then it is what it is. I mean, because I'm not going to deny myself, a good hearty talk about some professional wrestling, But I was just making the point that there's so many goddamn wrestling podcasts. Not to say that it's a bad thing, but there's millions and billions of podcasts in general. you know. But when you have this many podcasts dedicated specifically to wrestling, you know, if you wanted to start a wrestling podcast, how would you stand out? Now, the idea that you brought to me was unique in itself. You want to talk about wrestling, but you want to talk about it from a business standpoint. So if you would, just kind of like, let's just kind of throw that around. Let's see what your ideas are, or if you're still trying to pursue that, or whatever's going on.
So, yeah, my idea for wrestling podcast was I want to talk about the business of wrestling, because every quarter WWE releases its financial numbers, and everybody, all the dirt sheets, all the podcasts, they talk about it. And to be quite honest, like, most people probably don't have the financial background that I have when it comes to, like, because in my day job, it's what I do for a living. So I just want to put a perspective for wrestling fans on the business of wrestling, because it's a huge, I mean, it's $1 billion business. And if you think about it, it's the one thing that nobody talks about. Like, people, when they see their favorite wrestler have t-shirts, they just look at it as, oh, my favorite wrestler has a t-shirt, I'm going to go buy it. But they don't realize how much of the wrestling industry is supply and demand, like any other supply chain or any other retail store. So when you see 54 Alexa Bliss items versus 14 Charlotte items, that's just because Alexa Bliss is that much more popular in that space. It doesn't mean she's a better wrestler. It doesn't mean that they even, as a company, think more of her. It's just they're able to monetize her character a lot more. And I think people just don't talk about that. Like, and that's why I've always preached about pushing certain people, because if I own the business and, you know, Rambling Rob is selling t-shirts hand over fist and people are really into him, why would I not push him and milk the cow and get as much money out of that as I could, rather than doing this whole, well, okay, we already have Rob established and maybe we aren't maximizing him, but let's use him to make others. And that's a great concept, but what if it doesn't work? Then you can cool off the hot commodity and you don't get anything out of these other entities that you're trying to, like, help. So for me, I just think those are things that people don't talk about. Like, I contribute Patreon to the New Age Insiders, and it's the one thing that I've said to them, like, hey, why don't you guys have a show about finance wrestling? Like, you have booking and you have women's wrestling and you have just topics, but what about the business of wrestling? Like the indies. The indies are hot right now. What's the money like for an independent wrestler who doesn't want to go to WWE because they don't want to go through the politics? Like, Cody Rhodes is making, they say anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000 a week. He doesn't need WWE. He's making a lot of money. He's making his own schedule. He's wrestling the style he wants to wrestle. And I just think that nobody covers that. And I feel like I can, if given the opportunity, provide to that space. And I just think that wrestling fans are always criticized or always stereotyped as not being very smart. And I feel like a podcast like that could actually change that perception, because there is a business element to it. And it's not just about your favorite wrestlers winning or losing or not getting pushed. There's real money. So, for example, like when Talking Smack got canceled and everybody was mad.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. It didn't draw any viewers on the network, and they want to cut costs, like fireworks. Like, people are like, oh, there's no pyro. Yeah, that's expensive. Pointless pyro doesn't do anything. Like, is one more person going to go to an arena because they have pyro? No.
Yeah, and then, like, most of the time, from a kid's standpoint, they don't like that shit.
Yeah, they don't. So I just think that when we talk about wrestling, we should talk about the business of it, like WWE Studios. It makes no money. It loses money every single quarter. Yet because they theme themselves as an entertainment property and not a wrestling company, they keep the space, because they might strike gold, like with that Halle Berry movie where they made like $60 million. But they keep producing such bad movies that, at this point, they're just shooting darts at a board blindfolded, and they don't know what's going to, like, they don't That's not their core competency, right? When we talk about business, you gotta talk about your core competency and what you're good at. They're not good at making movies. They think because they produce a weekly TV show that they can make movies, but that's not exactly the case. It's a different space.
Yeah.
And
now, in the same vein or whatever, not to cut you off, what do you think they could do differently with WWE Studios that maybe they can kind of turn it around and make a profit?
You know,
like you was just talking about television shows. Maybe they can try to produce weekly content, not like in a reality show based concept, but like, you know, actual weekly episodic television, you know, like That 70s Show or something like that. I mean, not that style of show, but just a weekly show that's not wrestling.
Let me see. You know, if I was running WWE Studios, what I would do is I would first finance movies that are already maybe going to do well. Because the one thing about Hollywood that people don't know about, maybe not know, is that all the movies that you love have to be financed, right?
Yeah.
Like, studios don't want to spend their own money. That's smart business. You don't want to spend your own money. You want other people to spend their money. So WWE, they're flush with cash. They have money. Attach yourself to, like, a Stranger Things, the Netflix show, or attach yourself to, like, something that is going to make some money, but at least it lets you understand how the business making a movie works. Or, you know, hop on the bandwagon of a young, hot director. Like, go to a young, hot director, somebody who's had a couple of breakout movies, and say, okay, look, we're going to give you a 4-picture deal, and we're going to give you this budget, but we're going to give you total creative control. You're going to get to pick the scripts. You're going to get to pick the actors. This is your budget. And let the WWE Studios logo not become... When you see that logo on a movie, I immediately think B-list, C-list movie. Like, I'm like, oh, this is going to suck. Whereas if I see the Marvel logo, or if I see the DC Comics logo, or I see the New Line Cinema logo, I'm thinking, oh, this is good. This is going to be a big production. So I would do that. Like, I would just go to Jordan Peele, the guy who directed Get Out, and I would say, look, I'm going to give you 5 pictures. I'm going to give you $100 million. I'm going to let you make 5 movies. You just have to stick the budget. And I would see what he can do with it. Like, attach yourself to a hot director. Because as you...
Yeah,
go ahead, sorry.
No, you good. Go ahead.
Because as you know, a lot of times we go to movies as much for the director as we do the actors. Like, if you see the name Spielberg, you want to see it. If you see the name Nolan, you want to see it. You see the name Lin, or Justin Lin from the Fast and Furious series, you want to see it. So, F. Gary Gray, like, directors need just as much as the actors. So to me, that's what I would do, because if I'm WWE, I'm not going to pay Jennifer Lawrence $35 million to make a movie, because I'm not that flush with cash. Like, I'm not Universal Studios that has billions of dollars, and, you know, if a Jennifer Lawrence movie flops, it flops, but they can afford it to flop.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that. I would go a different direction. That's what I would do.
Now, as far as movies or whatever, how many WWE films have you seen?
I've seen all the Marines.
Yeah.
I've seen the Halle Berry movie, the one that did well.
That was The Call, wasn't it?
Huh?
That was The Call, wasn't it?
Yeah, The Call. I've seen Walking Tall, which people forget is a WWE production.
Yeah, it was.
Go back and look at the credits.
The Rundown.
Go back and look at the credits. The Rundown. And there's a couple of the Triple H movie, The Chaperone.
Yeah.
I've seen that terrible thing. And I saw the Ziggler movie.
Yeah, that was kind of long for no reason.
I just think that...
Let's just go over some of those real quick. Now, I'm looking at The Call on IMDb. Because you're talking about the business or whatever. It was an estimated budget of $13 million. What do you think the opening weekend was?
I think the opening weekend, it made like $16 million.
Yeah, opening weekend they made 17 million. So they made their money back plus a little bit. Worldwide, it grossed $68 million. So you think just, they get hot flashes and everything, or you just based on that, would you keep WWE Studios around is what I'm asking.
Like I said, I don't think 1 every 10 movies being a success means that I should keep the store open. Like my day job is I am in the retail industry, and the company I work for, over the last 2 years, we closed a lot of stores that just money. Well, we should have actually done it years ago. We shouldn't have done it this year when it was like, oh, we're just losing too much. We should have. You open a store and it never makes money. What are the chances it's ever going to make money? Okay, WWE Studios. If you look at debits and credits and you look at the ledger, they have lost way more money than they have made. At what point do you not just pull the plug or go after a different business strategy? Like, to me, that's my answer. If it's never made money, except for here and there, then why would you keep it open? Like, this is a company that's publicly traded, and yeah, it's had a real hot stock quarter because, the revenues for last quarter were through the roof. But the one thing that lost money for them was WWE Studios. Everything else made money except for WWE Studios. So think of how much more money as a company they would make if they just closed this division down. Like, hypothetically like this. They could take that same money and buy New Japan.
Yeah.
They could take that money and buy Ring of Honor. They could buy Progress. They could buy, they could go out there and buy more talent. They could go out there and pay their talent more now. They could go out there and do different things. Like, they could go and say, you know what? I haven't flush with cash. So you know what, Kenny Omega, you don't want to come work for us, but we're going to give you $3 million a year. Say no. Yeah, you're making $1.7 million. We're going to give you $3 million plus all the other stuff. You're going to turn us down? That's what I would do with the money. Yeah. Like, to me, they're a wrestling company. I don't care what they say. They're a wrestling company. Focus on wrestling. And
now let's go to the other stream of that WWE Studios thing. Now, we just did the call. I looked at the budget and everything. I mean, they made a profit on that. They turned a profit. They
did. Absolutely. So it was a great success story.
Now, let's talk about one of the movies that you mentioned, Walking Tall. Now, I'm looking at the stuff here for the box office. That movie had a budget of $56 million. What do you think the opening box office was the weekend?
15 million, maybe.
How much?
15.
Yes, exactly. 15.5. And they only grossed worldwide. Oh, no, shit. This doesn't even say worldwide. It says U.S. They only grossed $45 million. So
they lost money.
They lost money. I mean, maybe they probably made it up worldwide, but shit, still. That's cutting it kind of close.
Absolutely. Like, I'm looking on their IMDb, WWE films. These are their movies. Scorpion King. Oh. That made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Rundown. Walking Tall. See No Evil. The Marine. The Condemned. Behind Enemy Lines. 12 Rounds. The Marine 2. Legendary. Knucklehead. The Chaperone. That's What I Am. Inside Out. The Reunion. Bending the Rules. The Day. Barricade. The Marine 3. Dead Man Down. The Call. No One Lives. Queens of the Ring. 12 Rounds 2. Christmas Bounty. Scooby-Doo WrestleMania Mystery. Oculus. Road to Paloma. Leprechaun. See No Evil 2. Jingle All the Way 2. The Flintstones and WWE Stone Age. The Marine 4. Vendetta. 12 Rounds 3. The Condemned 2. Santa's Little Helper. Countdown. Term Life. Scooby-Doo. And The Curse of the Speed Demon. Interrogation. Incarnate. Eliminators. Surf's Up 2. The Resurrection of Gavin Stone. The Jetsons and Robo WrestleMania. Marine 5. Slight. Pure Country, Pure Heart. Armed Response, Birth of a Dragon, Killing Hasselhoff. Okay. Now, am I the only one who would never ever spend $1 to go see Dean Ambrose in a movie? Why would I think that's a good idea? And I understand what they're doing. They're like, there are people like Nate, Nuclear Shrimp, shout out to Nate, who love Dean Ambrose. So they're going to go see anything Dean Ambrose is in. That's not how this works, though. That's already been proven. Why did The Call work? What's the one thing about The Call that you didn't mention?
Halle Berry.
An Oscar-winning actress who actually is a worldwide name, who has a brand, who's one of the most, beautiful women of the last, I don't know, maybe ever. And I don't think she ages, which I need to know her secret. But, that's why that movie worked, because they had a good script with a bankable Hollywood actress, and it worked. And David Otunga had a little role in it. It wasn't based around David Otunga. But, you think anybody wants to see Randy Orton? He's boring as as a wrestler.
I seen that movie, and he was wooden as fuck.
Cena's smart. He's got away from WWE films. He's like, oh, Hollywood's opening the door for me. I'm going to do Daddy's Home 2. I'm going to do a Tina Fey movie. I'm going to do Transformers. He's staying away from WWE films because he's smart. The Rock. The Rock used WWE to get his foot through the door.
Yep.
They financed some movies for him, but then all of a sudden, Rock's biggest movie star in the world. What you think of? You might do it Vince McMahon out of a favor.
I think that's literally and figuratively that he's the biggest star in Hollywood.
He is, yeah, he is. But if you think about it, if Vince McMahon called him and said, "Hey, you got this WWE Studios film," he'd be like, "Yeah, Vince, I've got a book for the next 5 years.
Yeah,
get you on the rebound." They're not. The Rock is a big star. Cena's going to become one, but because they're going to work with people who know how to make a movie.
Yeah,
Vince McMahon is a wrestling genius. I think he's terrible now as a booker, but he's a wrestling genius. But he doesn't know how to make a movie. People are lying to themselves that they think No Holds Barred is a good movie. It's not a good movie. It was funny.
Yeah,
it's not a good movie. So for me, I would get rid of WWE Studios. I would spend more money on NXT. I would spend more of that money that they're saving on getting more talent. I would maybe develop a women's TV show. Like I've always said, everybody talks about 205 Live, but what if they had an all-women's wrestling show every week?
I was thinking about that too.
It was shot at NXT, though. It was just shot in Orlando every week, and you developed some of these characters. Think of the feuds you could have.
Yeah. Also, I don't mean to cut you off. I don't want to leave the movie thing just yet.
Okay.
Because I'm still on the Wikipedia page. In upcoming movies, they have 2 of them with The Rock.
Really? Which one?
Well, one of them is that documentary about Page family. It's distributed by WWE Studios. And then there's another one called The Fall Guy with The Rock.
Also,
and then also they
are financing The Fall Guy.
Exactly. And also they're financing Rampage, that Rock movie that's coming out.
Ah, okay. Well, that's good. That's very smart of them because, people, for those of you who don't know, the guy who runs The Rock's production company, Brian Dershowitz, was the head writer at WWE for many, many years. Mm-hmm. And so that's a very smart thing. And like I said, maybe they're figuring it out.
Yeah, because
attach yourself to movies that'll make money.
Yeah, also because
go ahead.
Just like what you're saying, I'm looking at the distributors that they are working with to produce these movies. I'm gonna see it just for a pure comedic standpoint. They got a movie called Blood Brothers, Blood Brother, that's coming out with R-Truth in it, and then the distributor for it is Cold Black Films. They make a lot of independent black-owned movies. So, I mean, I think that's kind of smart. They got a movie called Mohawk with Luke Harper that's coming out, and the distributor for that is Snowfront Pictures, which I haven't heard too much about. So they kind of doing what you're saying, because they got the Fall Guy is going to be distributed by DreamWorks. So
and maybe that's what they should do is, hey, we have money. We will attach ourselves to projects that we think will make some money. So if we put in $4 million to the Fall Guy, $12 million out of it, because that's business. At the end of the day, if they attach themselves to all these bad movies and they still made money, it doesn't matter. They make money.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I hate Tyler Perry movies. I think they suck.
Yeah, I soured on them. Yeah.
And the reason I don't like Tyler Perry movies is, as a person who, you know, most of my friends growing up were, well, I guess I can't call them African American because I'm from Canada. So I guess I'm going to have to call them African Canadian or West Indian or Caribbean. I just feel like Tyler Perry movies embody the worst stereotypes of how people look at black people.
Yeah.
And so I don't like his movies. I'm uncomfortable watching his movies, but they make a shitload of money.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and criticize a guy who built a $700 million empire off of bad movies, because you know what? He has $700 million and I don't have $700 million. So I respect the hustle. So if they would just attach themselves to all these bad movies that made money, bravo, go for it. And maybe you're right. Maybe with you reading me that information, which I did not know, they're doing the right thing. That's how they should focus their studio company. But they should not be financing movies with Dean Ambrose and Randy Orton and The Miz and Lana and Edge.
Because I bring those things up because, I mean, out of that list that you read earlier, they got a couple of good movies on there. Like No One Lives. I thought that was a damn good horror movie. I mean, it's not like hardcore horror. It's like one of those murder slasher movies. So, I mean, that's a good movie, and I recommend it. Slight.
Okay.
Slight was a pretty good movie, too. And, like, just the sheer numbers on that movie, the film had a $250,000 budget. It worldwide, the opening weekend, it made 1.7 million, and then it grossed out at 3.8 million. So they made money off of that, and I would recommend that they do stuff like that, because Slight was a good movie and it was for a small budget. It's kind of like how Get Out was. They made that movie with a small budget and they got hand over fist in revenue for it.
Well, Get Out is one of the biggest grossing margin movies of all time. Like, you know, it's a $2-3 million movie that made over $100 million. Like, that's the type of movie you want to make. For me, like, okay, everybody's seen this movie. Everybody's seen the movie Top Gun, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this. I'm assuming everybody's seen Top Gun. So Top Gun in 1986, I don't know what the production budget was. I think it was like $30 million. The movie ended up making $411 million. That is profit. So for me, as somebody who holds with the company, that's the thing. I'm glad they're doing it. Like, I'm glad you told all this, because now I feel much better about their next 5 or 6 quarters, because they're going to get TV money, they're going to get the network money, and if they do this model with the studios, they're going to make money there too. And then at that point, it's going to be really bad on us fans, because, you know, they're going to push who they want to push at this point. Because I always said this, and I've said this maybe on other podcasts, I've never said this on yours. If we were in the pay-per-view era still, not the network era, a lot of people we like, or I like, would be pushed differently.
Yeah.
Like, if, let's say you had to spend $60 on a pay-per-view now, instead of $10 a month, they would push Finn Balor. They would push Sasha Banks. Like, they would push them the way we want them pushed. Because people would have to, because that's the only way you're going to get people to spend their money, is if you give them what they want. When you're giving somebody $10 a month for all that content, they don't care. They're going to take risks, which I'm okay with. Like, I think the Ginger thing was good. I'd like to see them do more of that. Like, I'd like to see them say, you know what? Rusev, we're going to strap the rocket to you. Let's go. I'd like to see that. But it's easy to do when you're getting a guaranteed revenue stream every month. Because, you know, for any math people out there, let's just say their average monthly paid subscribers is 1.2 million. Multiply 1.2 million times 10. That's $12 million a month. Multiply that by 12. That's $144 million a year. Now, right when they changed from the pay-per-view model to the network model, they were doing like 150,000 pay-per-view buys. So let's say you do 150,000 for TLC or 100,000. You multiply that by $40 or $60.
Mm-hmm.
That's $6 million. Making $12 million now a month with all the content they have already at their disposal. And the other smart thing about the WWE Network that people don't know is they take this is bad for the wrestlers, by the way. The wrestlers used to get a cut of the pay-per-view proceeds. So if you were like the main event on a pay-per-view that did 600,000 buys, you're getting a main event pay-per-view check. But with the network, they're like, you're not really a draw as much as you think because the network is selling it. They don't have to pay the wrestlers the pay-per-view proceeds. They don't have to pay the cable companies the surcharge. So it was actually very smart business to cut. Like at first when they did it, they probably did it too quick. Like they should have still said, okay, you're going to get every pay-per-view for $10 a month, but you got to pay for SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. And then slowly give you those for free. But once they gave you everything for free, they can never go back. But now, they're way ahead of the curve. Because now, UFC pay-per-view numbers are down. Unless Conor McGregor fights. Because people don't want to spend $60 anymore. When they get something for $10, why would they want to do that? So they they were smart there. And the way I look at it is, that's why you're never going to see a Stone Cold Steve Austin. You're never going to see a Rock where every month they're the main event. Mm-hmm. You're going to get all these different combinations. They're going to try different things. Like, you know, they're going to push Alexa Bliss. And then when they decide to push somebody else, they're going to push somebody else because there's no, like, sense of urgency to draw pay-per-view numbers. There's no sense of all they have to do is keep a steady TV rating, and they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And I already know now certain people draw certain quarter hours. That's why, you know, I was telling Matt McCool, that's why Sasha's always on TV. That's why Bliss is always on TV, because they draw a little bit of numbers. They give you their little slice of them, so they want to keep you around for the show. It's one of the reasons they try their hardest not to main event Roman Reigns, because he doesn't draw the quarter hours the way some of the other wrestlers do. So the point I'm trying to make is that they have a very healthy business, and that live attendance is down. But I think live attendance is down in the landscape of sports anyway. The NFL attendance is down. And if the NFL isn't doing great attendance compared to what they used to, how could you expect wrestling to?
Yeah.
Like the NFL is the strongest thing in America in terms of sports. So I just think with HDTV, with all these great features you have at home, we're just not a live audience attending group anymore.
Yeah. Now, with that being said, how much would it help and hurt WWE if they televised house shows?
It would hurt because there's production costs associated with that. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to pay a camera crew. You have to fly them to the venue. Then you have to get them the rental car. Because remember, production employees are corporate employees. They're not independent contractors. Wrestlers are independent contractors. But the cameraman, the people who drive the trucks, those are corporate employees. They got to pay their health care. They got to pay their hotel. They got to pay their per diem. They got to do all that. That's expensive. Anybody ever been to a house show? They have one camera person. Why? Because they want archival footage just in case. Mm-hmm. But that's one camera person. It's one camera with one angle. There's no elaborate production set. There isn't, like, people don't understand. To put on the USA show they put on every Monday, that's $1 million. Oh, no, I think it cost them, they say, $300,000 an episode to make that show. They're not going to spend $300,000 on a 2,000-seat house show. What's the point? Mm-hmm. That's not going to get 3 million views. Like, people forget the network itself only has 2 million customers. And so how much are you going to get on a house show? To me, yes, it hurts them. They should not televise house shows. Here's another reason why I would never televise house shows, other than the random one here and there. Why go then? What's the point of going to a live show?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What's the point? Like, why do I want to go to a live show when I can just see it at my house? I have no incentive. So yeah, I think it's bad to do that, and I think it's unnecessary cost. Like pyro is unnecessary cost. Like, that's expensive. Like, people forget how expensive that stuff is.
Yeah, because I mean, they think, all right, there's just some guy lighting fuses backstage and freaking stuff goes off. No, it's more to that. That's fucking science and chemistry and shit. You got to measure the powder right and put the right chemicals together and wire it just the right way. I mean, an amateur just can't go out and do that. You got to have somebody with some know-how. It's not like you go into your daggone fireworks stand and just, this ain't Roman candles and shit, The
other thing is that there's insurance risk with pyro, right? People could burn themselves. People could get hurt. You have to pay that. Like, the reason that I think the business of wrestling never gets talked about enough is because at the end of the day, wrestling fans forget it's an actual business. Like, I'll give you a perfect example of what drives me crazy. Everybody knows who my favorite wrestler is, so I'm not going to talk about her. Mm-hmm. But when she doesn't get booked correctly, the Twitter narrative is she should go work the indies. Are you crazy? Like, do people realize that she's making $1 million a year? What is she going to make on the independents? $100,000?
Yeah, not that.
and if she, okay, even if she makes $100,000 a year, it's like she's working in front of 100 people, 200 people. Like, you should have a women's division and Stardom for all of every. Asuka took a pay cut. She was the highest paid Stardom wrestler. She took a pay cut to come to WWE because she knew, in the grand scheme of things, the money she would end up making would be substantially more than what she would make at Stardom. And so, for Sasha Banks, Alexa Bliss, none of these women are ever going to the indies unless they get cut. And as long as they sell merchandise the way they sell merchandise, they're never going to get cut.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, well, look at Emma. Yeah, Emma was never that big a deal. Look, Emma didn't main event pay-per-views. Emma isn't part of the narrative of the women's revolution. She doesn't have a 5-star match on her resume. Like, these are different levels of the women. There's the 4 Horsewomen, there's Alexa Bliss, there's Paige, and then there's, these other women. And Mickie James, like, these are all expendable parts. But there are certain ones that will always keep because they have meaning and value.
Yeah.
Asking a women's wrestler to leave WWE and go to the independents, you're literally asking them to cut food out of their own family's mouth. So, no matter what we think, and no matter how badly our favorite wrestlers, myself included, are booked, especially the women, they're going to keep doing what they're told because the check is going to come in. And when you sell the merchandise that some of these women, the check are multiples.
Yeah. And
I was giving McCool, a breakdown, like, let's just say you have a good house show loop and they sell a lot of your merchandise. You're talking about an extra like $5-6 grand on top of what you're already making for your live events in merchandise a week. Like, you're just not going to find that money on independence. You're just not.
Yeah, and then also, I mean, just licensing in general. Because, like, if you get an action figure, that you generate revenue from that. If you in a video game, you generate revenue from that.
Yep.
Not only to forget that even WWE is a wrestling company. They do send their stars out to do other things like Jimmy Fallon, autograph signings, and everything like that. That's extra income. You're not going to find that in any other independent company unless you're doing it yourself, you know, and then you're not going to generate all that buzz just, you know, being one person trying to run it all alone.
Like, you get a printout every quarter of all the items that have your likeness on it and that how much of it, each of it sold. So if you have 50, 60 items on shop and you're selling items in the thousands, even if you're getting $1 a shirt, like you're like, oh, CM Punk, I think, said this. He's like, well, if you only get $2 a shirt. Yeah, I'm like, but Punk, if you're selling 500,000 shirts and you're getting $1 for each shirt, you're making $500,000. That's still a lot of money.
Yeah. Or you can go on Pro Wrestling Tees and damn, you can sell a shirt and get a pretty decent profit or whatever, but damn, you're not selling as many shirts as you would sell at a WWE show.
Unless you're the Bucks or you're Omega or you're Cody.
Yeah, see, and then you're talking about from a business standpoint, Cody Rhodes is smart as shit. Everybody's like, oh man, the Bullet Club, you know, they got too many people. Why would he join the Bullet Club? Because the fucking Bullet Club in New Japan has a goddamn Hot Topic deal. So he's getting a cut of that money. His merchandise is in every mall that you go to, you know, so he has more coverage than he would if he was just like exclusively with, you know, some independent schmuck and he was just selling t-shirts out of, Pro Wrestling Tees and some other independent vendor. Now he has more coverage than he would have ever had, you know? So he's a smart man.
They're all very, very smart. The Bullet Club, those guys like Omega, the Bucks, Cody, because Cody Rhodes actually talks about it on, I think it was on Jericho's podcast, where he was he said how when he was coming up, him and Ted DiBiase rode with John Cena before he got the bus, and they would drive Cena everywhere. And while they were driving him, he'd be in the car calling headquarters saying, how much did I sell? How much was the gig? How much was it the last time I came here? How many hats did I move? How many shirts did I sell? He'd do all this, and they'd be like, why does this guy care so much? But guess what Cody's doing now? He does exactly the same thing. Mm-hmm. He's like, how many pay-per-view buys did I generate? How many did they generate without me in this venue? Like, he's in the business just like Cena was. And that's the thing, you know, business, you could money in wrestling.
And
what I was saying, Rob, is that if I can get to pull this wrestling podcast off and just get it off the ground, even if I don't care, whatever views, listeners I get. All I want is people to just walk away and understand that it is a business and that these performers, like when people see the shit on Twitter, when Emma lost, like I remember when Emma got cut, you know, I think that Bailey and Sasha, they tweeted, oh, you know, thank you, Emma. And then somebody responded to them and said, well, they should cut you two next, right? It's like when people say things like this, they don't understand that this is their job. Like, you should not want anybody to get fired from their job. And even I have been out on a limb sometimes. Like, I feel like if you hurt people in the ring, you should be. And that's where I will not change my stance. Like, if you are reckless and you cause bodily harm, because it is performance, it's not real in the sense of you're not supposed to hurt the person. Bret Hart once told me at a card show, the best wrestlers make it look real, but they actually don't hurt you at all.
Yeah, I just what you was talking about with Cody Rhodes and John Cena. It's just like they want to know those things. Like, for instance, the part where you're talking about how much did he generate in this specific venue. I mean, that's so he can plan for other things around that time. He's like, well, I didn't do good here, so I can afford to miss this venue so I can go do this other thing that might generate me more than what I would have lost, you know? Just little shit like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, when they take a wrestler, like, when wrestlers don't work house shows, they're not making nearly the money. And, like, I referenced this email I got from a very well-known person in WWE, like, who's in the know. We'll just leave it at that. And this person pointed out in the email when I was complaining on my Sasha isn't being used correctly, Ryan, that, you know, look at the India tour. There's only 2 women on the India tour. It's Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks. That's it. No other women. 2 women. Not Bayley, not Charlotte, not Becky, not Naomi. The 2 women who they know generate the most interest and sell the most t-shirts and people care to see. Like, in India, if they don't see any other women, these are the 2 women they want to see. And they're like, she's on those shows. She's a big deal. But the person emailed me and said, Bayley should be worried, not Sasha Banks. Becky should be worried, not Sasha Banks. Because they've always keep certain people strong to a point. Like, they might not keep them as strong as maybe I want them or you, but they always know the line. Like, they're not putting certain people on main event. They're not making people lose in 2 minutes. And so the person tells me, look, you look at the India tour, and she's on it. She's on the Japan tour. She's on the England tour. She's working every weekend house shows. That's the difference between somebody in the good of the office and somebody in the good. Because if you're not working house shows, you're losing a lot of money. Because every house show, you make a bigger cut of the gate, you make a bigger cut of merch. So, because the production costs are so less. So, you know, I'm Canadian, you know this. And they did a show in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And I had a friend of mine who lives out there now. And he went to the show. It was like 7,000 people. Sold out. Think of the gate receipts that each wrestler who was on that show is going to get. Merchandise stand was around the corner, like hour-long wait for merch. They're making a good living just working house shows. And so, you know, if wrestlers aren't on house shows, that's a problem. Like, if you're not on the house shows, that's bad.
Because we could talk about Kurt Hawkins and his losing streak, and he's barely on TV, but I guarantee he's just about at every house show.
He's on every house show because he does the same shtick, which is he comes out, he's like, I'm going to break the streak tonight. He loses to a different person, but like the Apollo Cruzes, the Titus O'Neills, like these guys are working house shows. So as long as they're working house shows, because people think, oh, well, they have to pay for their own rental car and their own hotel. Yeah, okay. So I travel with 3 other people. We split a rental car. And yeah, I have my own hotel room, but like these guys, if I make $2,000 in one show, my hotel costs $150. My rental car costs $150. That's $300. I bring my own food. I have all my gear. I'm still walking away after taxes, $800 a night. How many other jobs are making $800 a night?
No, not many.
You know, if you're not on TV and you're not at house shows, that's the problem. And like I said, this person who sent me an email, and everybody knows about, so I'm not going to mention my source, just said, you should worry what isn't on TV or a house show. Or not on it. So the question I have for you is, you know, what do you think of that idea of doing a Business of Wrestling podcast? You're a podcast guy. You do one every week. Is that something you'd be interested in? Or do you think that just goes by the way of the other 2,000 wrestling podcasts? It's just too many.
Well, I don't know of any other podcast that does that. I've known shows to speak about television ratings and things like that, but it wasn't the main focal point of the show, just like it was mentioned in passing or it was just to validate a point that they had. But I've never heard of any show that is strictly based within the inner workings of business of professional wrestling. So you have something unique. And if you chose to pursue it, I believe it would be interesting and people would gravitate toward it because, I mean, it's wrestling based, which people like, but it gives them another layer. Because me as a wrestling fan, been watching wrestling for so long, that's what I look for. I look for, more insight about professional wrestling outside of just the overall performances of the men and women.
Yeah, the thing about WWE, which is interesting, is I don't think I've ever liked the product more overall, but I feel like it's the women that are really carrying my interest. Like, for the men's wrestling, like, I feel like I'm more into New Japan, I'm more into Ring of Honor. Yeah. I'm not into the men's part of the WWE product as much as I used to be. Like, I like AJ Styles, and I like Finn, and I like some of these other guys, but, like, overall, there's too much filler, but I feel like the women's stuff is still, I still care week to week how much time they're given and who's in what storyline. Like, I think New Japan, I don't know, man, the wrestling that I get out of New Japan is just so far and away, in my opinion, in the ring, better than what you get in WWE because they're allowed to take more risks because, let's be honest, WWE doesn't do chair shots.
No.
To the head, and they shouldn't. There's too many concussion studies that say it's a bad thing. The other thing is they don't do blood. And then the other thing is they don't take, like, a pile driver is banned. Vince will not allow you to do the pile driver. Only Kane and Undertaker can do the tombstone. And so, like, things like that, like, New Japan, they're doing stuff that scares me. Like, they're doing pile drivers off the second rope and stuff. I get worried for some of these guys. But it's entertaining to watch.
Yeah, it's like NASCAR. It's like, oh, Lord, car wreck.
Car crash, yeah.
But I can't turn away. But yeah, man, I just like, other than the content that your podcast would be about, I mean, is there any other, I don't know, worries that you may have about doing a podcast or things that you're not really clear on? Or how would you go about certain things?
I think the thing I'd be worried about the most is I think keeping a cadence and keeping a continuity to anything is important. And I think that what I would like to do if I did it is keep it fresh, where I would try to have different guests every week that could talk to what I'm talking about. So, like, if I did it, I would do this. I have a friend who works at Nike, and I have a friend who works at Adidas, and I have a friend who works at Puma. And, one of these three individuals has told me off the record, that, like, all three companies were interested in doing something with the Four Horsewomen. And, like, they had this whole thing planned out where they were going to have them be like this women's, like, the way that they focus on Serena Williams and the way they focus on some of the other women athletes, that they were like, how many women athletes in the world are really more popular than top women's wrestlers? But this is how the conversation started. So I thought about it and I said, Serena, definitely yes. And then it kind of got hazy because after Serena Williams, who's the next most famous women's athlete? Sharapova, maybe?
Yeah. I couldn't tell you.
But they were saying, like, if Alexa Bliss goes to Tokyo, there are going to be people who know who she is. Like, she's going to walk the streets of Tokyo, and people are going to be like, oh my God, that's Alexa Bliss. But if Diana Taurasi, or, like, the best women's basketball player in the world, walk those same streets, they probably didn't know who they are. To tell you...
Shit, I didn't even know the WNBA was still around.
So, the Minnesota Lynx are one of the best women's basketball teams, WNBA teams. And I flew to Minneapolis for business. And I'm at the airport, and there's like a backlog for rental cars. So I'm waiting at Avis, or at Budget, sorry. And yeah, same thing, Budget Avis. And Maya Moore, who's one of the best women's basketball players ever, is sitting right beside me. And she just came off the plane because they wanted a gold medal in the Olympics. And she's, lives in Minnesota. And she's near a rental car. And that's when it hit me that, like, I know her because I love basketball and I know everything about it. But, like, how many people know who this is? Like, I'm like, oh my God, it's Maya Moore. Let me go say hi to her. Hey, fan, you're great. Love the Jordans you have on your feet. We struck up a conversation, and she was very nice. But the point I'm trying to make is, if Sasha Banks was sitting there, or Alexa Bliss was sitting there, a lot more people would know who they were than Maya Moore.
Yeah.
So, anyways, getting back to my conversation that I had with one of these three individuals who works for one of these three companies, they had this whole idea of, hey, 4 horsewomen, get them their own shoe. And this concept is so awesome. Like, you launch a shoe, but you have 4 iterations of it. You have a Becky shoe, a Bayley shoe, a Sasha shoe, and a Charlotte shoe. And you only release them in their hometowns. So there's a Boston release for Sasha, there's a Charlotte release for Charlotte, there's a Ireland release for Becky, and there's a San Jose release for Bayley. And they do like an autograph signing, and they're also like releasing the shoes at that store, so they're signing the shoes. And they had this whole thing planned out. And it's just doing business with WWE is so difficult because they want in on everything. So they have Tap Out, which they own 50% of, for those of you who don't know. So like they felt like it was like a conflict of interest because they want their performers wearing Tap Out. And so one of the rules in WWE Dress Code is if you wear Tap Out, you don't have to dress up to the arena. Like if you wear Tap Out sweatsuits or Tap Out shirts, you don't have to dress up. But if you've ever looked at how the women wrestlers or the male wrestlers come to arenas, they're mostly wearing suits and dress clothes because they have a dress code.
Yeah.
But if you wear Tap Out, you don't have to have that dress code. So that's why a lot of people just love wearing their Tap Out stuff. But the point is, like, there are these other companies that really want to tap into what the WWE has with some of their stars, but they can't do it because there's a lot of politics. But the point I'm trying to make, though, is there's a huge market for that type of merchandise that I don't even think they've tapped into yet. And those are the type of things I'd like to talk about. Like, I'd like to have a person on from a shoe company telling them, like, hey, what's the viability of an Alexa Bliss Vans sneaker? Like, would that sell? Would people care about it? I'd like to do stuff like that because I just think it's such a different market, a different audience. Not a different audience. It's a different perspective on a business that we all care about. So that's kind of what I'd like to do. Because I don't hear anybody doing it. And I listen to God knows how many wrestling podcasts a week. One of the things I like your podcast, and that's why I subscribe, so everybody go subscribe.
Appreciate it.
Is because, absolutely, I'm going to definitely hit you up on the Patreon too to contribute.
Yeah.
It's because you have all these different guests, and it's like you guys have a wide range of topics, and it's just Rob talking to somebody. But the wrestling specific podcast, it's like they're going to recap Monday Night Raw or SmackDown or the pay-per-view. And that's cool. But like, everybody does that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing really unique about it. So yeah, that's kind of where I'd like to go with it. But yeah, I mean, what do you think? Do you think that like a Puma Alexa Bliss shoe or Sasha Banks shoe would do well? I think it'd do great in business.
I think people would buy it. Just that alone, I know my kid, my oldest, my daughter, I know she would want some right off the bat, especially Sasha Banks. So, I mean, yeah. there is going to be, think of somebody on the level of Izzy. You know, she's probably going to buy the Bayley shoe or even the Sasha Banks shoe just because, Izzy should be on the Bayley shoe.
Exactly. Like they should have a face of Izzy. Like, Izzy and Mini Sasha Banks, who follows me on Twitter, and I follow her, Mini Sasha Banks, that is. These individuals have taken, like, their fandom and turned it into a business.
Yeah.
Like, Mini Sasha Banks has her own line of merchandise, and she's doing card shows. And people come up to her and be like, I want to take a picture with you. Like, you think about that. Like, these women have become such big stars that the people who dress up like them are becoming stars.
Yeah, I got a homeboy. He does his he makes his own gear. He dressed up like Kenny Omega. Now he gonna be on the next episode of Being the Elite. He got to meet Kenny Omega.
He is?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, so he must have been in San Antonio.
Yeah.
By the way, I love that show. Show's awesome.
I've only seen glimpses of it. I've seen like highlight reels of different episodes, but I never watched the full episode. I definitely watch the one with my homeboy going to be on it.
I think the Young Bucks are the one wrestling group or act that I would tell them never to go to WWE.
Yeah.
They have such a good thing going, like the Hot Topic, the YouTube, the merchandise, the joke about it. They're not working Christmas or New Year's, but WWE wrestlers are. But here's the thing that people don't understand about that. There was a time where wrestling always happened on Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's a tradition.
Like, that's a tradition. So it's not like people are making it out to be this big, like, oh my God, how cruel of WWE to have, their wrestlers work. But like, even if, let's say they say on the 18th of December, you got to take 2 episodes of Raw instead of doing the 1 episode of Raw on the 25th, you're still working.
Yeah.
And people forget, like, there's a reason that they get paid what they get paid for first run programming. Like, USA is not paying for repeats. They're paying for live 52-week shows. And if you're not going to give it to them, they're going to expect something in its place. And I don't think they have any contingency plans. So that doesn't bother me. But the point I'm trying to make is the Young Bucks can do what they want. They work their schedule. They make their money. If these guys are making, I'm sure they're making $1 million. And if they are, good for them. Like, that to me is the independent spirit, like what they're doing, Rhodes is doing, Omega's doing. Michael Elgin has his own promotion.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because you're getting Michael Elgin and Naito in like an independent 2,000-seat hall. That's a crazy match. And by that time, Naito might be the world champion.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I don't know. I just think the business of wrestling there's a lot to talk about. Like, you look at St. Clair, who owns Ring of Honor, they're just expanding into all these new markets. If Sinclair, and they have way more money than the WWE, if they ever said, you know what, we're just going to put money into Ring of Honor, they give the WWE a real run for their money. I've always said that, like, all it's going to take is one crazy billionaire owner to buy New Japan. And,
Not like Ted Turner.
Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
Like, right now, Access, which is where New Japan is on in America, is owned by Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban has more money than Vince McMahon. Mark Cuban's probably as good, if not a better businessman than Vince McMahon is. I mean, look at Shark Tank, look at the Dallas Mavericks. If Mark Cuban said, you know what? I want to compete. I want to give Vince a run. I'm going to put money into New Japan. Don't you think that would scare Vince into probably now pushing the people he wants that maybe, like, they don't get pushed because he doesn't have to? Like, I just think Vince needs some competition to make him better.
Yeah.
And all it's going to take is one crazy billionaire to say, you know what, I love wrestling, like Ted Turner. Mark Cuban loves wrestling. He's taking an RKO. People forget that. Like, there was a pay-per-view where he took an RKO from Randy Orton. He wants to get into business and he buys New Japan and Ring of Honor. You don't think Vince is going to be a little scared? I mean, you know?
And then another person that I think that would be a good guess is James Ellsworth, because he has a independent promotion, and then he was just recently on WWE TV or whatever. So, I mean, what do you think that done for him financially and, as far as, generating business for his company?
I'll say this. James Ellsworth should be applauded.
Yeah.
How many people get to, like, this guy was hired as a jobber to get beat up by Braun Strowman. He cut the promo where any man with 2 hands has a chance. And he got so over. to the point where people were chanting his name. People had signs about him. He got signed. He had a great 1.5-year run where he was doing house shows. He was part of Main Event. I mean, he was part of the first ever women's Money in the Bank match. And for those of you who don't know, the storyline was supposed to be he was going to do a Caitlyn Jenner type angle where at WrestleMania he was going to fight Charlotte because he wanted to be more of a woman. And that was going to be the match Charlotte had for the title. James Ellsworth.
What?
Yeah. That's what it was. And it was Vince's idea. So the fact that they stopped it, somebody must have gotten it. Like somebody from like USA Network must have been like, whoa, hey, whoa, what are you doing? You ain't touching this one. But I thought Ellsworth did great. Like he's been a half of his dream. I mean, this guy's been a wrestler for like 20 years. And now he's probably going to charge a lot more independence.
And we're back, man. And you heard it. I mean, you heard the other side of wrestling, you know, in a small sense. But if he pursues, you know, this podcast, I wish him the best of luck, and I'll help him as much as I can with my limited knowledge, with my 99 episodes as of this one, backing me with my portfolio. The numerous guest spots I have done, side projects that I have done through podcasting, I will take that extensive knowledge and I will bestow it upon Mr. King HR, young King HR. Look at me talking like I'm big shit. But yeah, man, it's just, he's not the only one to reach out to me, you know, to ask about advice about starting their own podcast, or what do I think about them doing this particular type of podcast or whatever. And it's great, man, that, you know, people would come to me and ask me questions or ask my advice on specific things when it comes to podcasting. I really appreciate that I'm ecstatic that they would come to me and ask me questions and stuff and everything. I don't know what to say about it. I'm gonna just sit here and say I appreciate it like 1,200 times, because I really do. But he's not the only one. Sock Monkey Mike, former guest, I think he has started or he's about to start his own podcast. And a couple episodes back, you heard Jam, the Inside Man Jam at Walmart, my homeboy from back in Lake Charles. He is working his way up into starting his own podcast. He's piecing his equipment together as we speak, and I'm excited to help him out in his foray into podcasting. Also, there's this whole net neutrality thing that's been circling around the net and everything. And, you know, I'm not educated or wise to what shit's going on, but from what I've gathered of this whole net neutrality thing, if it's passed, if they come to terms on it, it's basically gonna give the power of the internet in all its glory, is uncensored, unbridled, and untamed freaking power, and they're gonna disseminate it and distribute it through, you know, different companies and everything. So Verizon can have their own brand of internet, and they can charge you different amounts for different services within the internet. That's what I'm gathering from it. I mean, just type in net neutrality on Google or Bing or whatever your search engine is, and you can read all about it. Basically, it sucks. It's going to kill a lot of podcasters, man, because, I mean, they're going to put a chokehold on the internet. They're going to ration out the internet for money. You know, if you want to fucking stream video, that type of internet is going to be different from internet that you would use to surf, you know, to look up freaking Wikipedia and do your homework and all kind of shit. It's just going to be a big fucking mess. So, write your congressman, call your congressman, Snapchat your congressman, Instagram your congressman. Don't pass that bill, because it will fucking suck. and then Jam, and then HR, and Sock Money Mike, and myself, and many other podcasters probably won't be able to do this thing that we want to do. So yeah, now there you go. I talked about current events, something outside of fucking podcasting or this show. But net neutrality sucks. Don't do it. It sounds like Nutella when I say it, but it's not. So I'm wishing all these people the best of luck. If you're interested in podcasting and you ain't got nobody to talk to about it, or you don't know anybody with any kind of experience, with my limited base in knowledge on podcasting, I will help you out. I mean, there's many ways you can reach me, and we can converse. We can chat about the subject, and I'll try to point you in a right direction there. Anyway, as I stated before, Anomaly has a message for you, and he wants to enlighten you on a giveaway that he's interested in doing. So let's listen to Anomaly. We're going to discuss the details of the giveaway, and then we're going to get the fuck up out of here.
Random Rob. This is your boy Anomaly calling in to show support and love to the show. You know I love listening to you. You know the Revelations album is out on zip file only, and we got T-shirts for sale. The hard copies will be in soon. This is what I wanted to go past you first and put in on your message. How about for all your listeners who have supported me, and I've gained fans from being on your show, and I love that. We're going to have a contest, and you are going to decide the stipulations of this contest for your listeners and your listeners only. You can win a free zip file download of the Revelation CD and a free T-shirt for one fan of the Random Ramblings with Rob podcast. Rob, you get to decide the stipulations on this. You tell me the winner. You tell me all the information. And once again, thank you for having me on your show and supporting the Infamous Society movement, supporting the Anomaly, and supporting underground music in a whole. Random Rob is that man. I love you, brother, and keep rocking and rolling. Peace.
All right. And see, he put me on spot. He put the burden on me. He got the easy shit. He can just give you shit, whoever wins. But I got to come up with the goddamn grand scheme of how I'm going to give these things away. So let's see. We're live brainstorming this right now. Well, it's not going to be live for you because this is recorded and I'm going to have to put it out. So, but let's see. Well, obviously it's going to involve something with Walmart because that's kind of my jam. So, fuck, man. Goddamn you, Anomaly. I don't know what to do. Hold on a second. Let's think. I guess we can keep it simple. I mean, I give you a couple of options. If you go to Walmart and you take a picture and tag me in it, whether it be on Instagram or freaking Twitter, you know, that'll gain you an entry. I'll take your name down and then I'll do a random drawing to see how you win that there. Or you can go on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, and you can tag me in a crazy Walmart video. And whoever tags me with the craziest Walmart video, they'll win the little prize pack from Anomaly. I mean, and I'm going to tell you now, if you actually go into a Walmart and you tag me in a video or a photo of you in Walmart, I'm going to say it's going to weigh in your favor. I might stuff the ballot box with your name a couple times. You know, that might weigh heavily in your favor. But you can also tag me with an insane, or, you know, it doesn't have to be insane. It can just be funny Walmart video. So you can tag me on Instagram, Twitter. Hell, you can even go to Facebook. I'm on Facebook as well. So hit me up, and whoever does that, I'll draw your name at random and you can win the prize pack from Anomaly. Yeah. So that was the episode. I'm going to go ahead and get the hell up on out of here. It's 2:00 in the morning, Central Time. Me and baby B-Rob got up early-ish and went to IHOP and ate all kinds of pancakes and crepes and everything, and it was delicious. But that's par from the course, because right now I'm going to tell you that you can follow me on Twitter at It's B-Rob. That's ITSBROB. If you want to talk professional wrestling or the business of professional wrestling, any other general shenanigans, that's the account that you do it at. Also, the show has its own Twitter account that you can follow at 3R Show. You can follow me on Instagram to where you can watch me walk through the hallowed halls of Walmart and vlog, I guess is what they call it. Also go to randomrobcast.com to where you can help the show grow, and you can contribute in many different ways. I have Amazon links. You click the banners and everything. It'll take you to Amazon. You shop like you normally do, and you don't pay anything extra. But from the purchase that you make on Amazon through my links, I get a little kickback to help support the show. Also, there is merchandise. You can buy t-shirts, which I haven't made t-shirts in a while. And I need to make a t-shirt for one of the patrons of the show, which you can be a patron too, just like Brandon McIntyre and Glenn Abbott. You just go to randomrobcast.com, click on the become a patron ad there. It'll take you to Podbean. You sign right on up. There's 4 tiers: $1, $3, $5, and $10. Also, you can just give me things off my Amazon wish list, because it's all pertaining to the show except for the Daryl kitty cat like Haramu have on New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I probably pronounced his name wrong, but that's just a leisure thing. Yeah, and that's about it. But you know, as I'm start saying every week, you don't have to give anything to this show, like monetarily, like money or gifts or anything. The most important thing that you can do, which you're doing right now, is listen to the show. Like it, subscribe, leave a review, a comment, anything. That's all the free stuff that you could do for the show. And that's what helps the show out the most. You listening, sharing, and giving maybe a little feedback, a little audience participation. In honor and spirit of the giveaway that Anomaly is doing for the Revelations album. This is his last solo album. We're going to leave you a little bit of bonus content. We're going to play one of the songs off his album. I ain't going to tell you which one it is. I'll let you hear it for yourself. It's going to be random. So, yep, I'm done. And guess what? I'll see you next time. Bonus content.
Hiding behind badges and protecting all these snitches. Put a popo in a ditch, I'll feed his ass off to the fishes. Vipers all off in my face and they be trying to stop my riches. I've been on they fucking shitless since they motherfucking won. Tell a pig straight to his face that you ain't shit without your gun. I ain't ever fucking run, I'll stand there and take the charge. Call Bobo on the phone and say, get me in OR. Take the cherry off the bar, you ain't searching a damn thing. Here's my ID and my social, you can go and run my name. I ain't got time for your games, best believe I know my rights. Better be having me in some handcuffs, only way you win a fight. Fuck the police, fuck you dirty ass cops. Middle fingers up, get the popo off the block. I said fuck the police, fuck you dirty ass cops. Middle fingers up, get the popo off the block. I said fuck the police, fuck you dirty ass cops. Middle fingers up, get the popo off the block. I said fuck the police, fuck you on my door at 4 o'clock in the AM. I ain't answering shit, bruh. What the fuck you want, man? You ain't coming in without a warrant in your hand, dude. You just woke me up, bitch. Don't worry about my attitude. See that camera, fool? Smile, you're on my fucking hard drive. So I got some proof. If you violate my civil rights, you can take my life, but you can never take us all, poor. Fuck a one time till the day that I die, whore. Simple traffic charge can't turn into a beat down. Revolution's coming, boy. Don't ever put your guns down. Keep it underground till the day that I die, bitch. Fuck a 5-0 and that weak ass Viper click. Fuck the police, fuck you dirty ass cops. Middle fingers up, get the popo off the block. I said, fuck the police, fuck you dirty ass cops. Middle fingers up, get the popo off the block. I said, fuck the police, fuck you dirty ass cops. Middle fingers up, get the popo off the block. I said, fuck the police, fuck you dirty ass cops. Middle fingers up, get the popo off the block.
Your face is coming straight to your ears. A podcast network that's changing gears, bringing fresh funky pods with a fresh funky beat. A family of pods that are bringing the heat. There ain't no stopping us. Keep coming back to us, sick ass pods that'll make you hush. www hush your face. www hush your face. www hushyourface.com.